What's up? This is Coach Vassar. Thank you, as always, for joining me for the OTF Audio Daily Beats. Any feedback, let me know. If you're new to them, thank you for tuning in. If you find value in these videos, let me know. Show your support. Information is in the description for that. This is Sunday, December 15th. This will also repeat on Saturday, the 28th. This is going to be strength on the treads, endurance on the rower, and power on the weight floor. We'll talk about key concepts, break down the treads, break down the rower weight floor, talk about the 3G. That being said, on the treads, we're going to see 4 blocks where your goal is to hold your speed as the incline changes. Blocks 1 and 2, incline goes up. Blocks 3 and 4, incline comes down. For the rower, we have a buy-in row in blocks 1 and 3, and it's a 400-meter push row. And then on the floor, 4 blocks total, and it's all about non-stop work. So blocks 1 and 3, work and active recovery. Blocks 2 and 4, it's 3 minutes of work that's timed before you get to take a break. You will need benches in a low bench position as a heads up for this one. So when we're looking at the tread side, blocks 1 and 3 are the same thing, but one block incline goes up, the other block incline comes down. And then blocks 2 and 4, same thing, but just like 1 and 3, block 2 incline goes up, block 4 incline goes down. So blocks 1 and 3, we're gonna see a 7-minute block here. There's only 1 minute to recover after those 2 blocks. Everything is for a minute with the intervals, and the goal here is to maintain their push as incline increases in block 1, and of course, maintain or increase their push speed as incline decreases in block 3. All right, so as we get into the nitty gritty of it, they are gonna say, we'll start off with a 1 minute push climb at 2% incline. Power walkers, they're going 4% or greater. So the idea here, knowing that the power walkers are actually at a kind of low incline for a push, it's really about that speed. So power walkers, yeah, try to get them to do 4% or incline or greater, but then increase their walk speed, 0.1 to 0.3 or more than what they usually do for their base. And then when they take it to their base, obviously drop their speed and go back to their base incline. And then for the bikes and striders, they're just gonna alternate between a push and base gear. And then, so they're gonna go about 3 to 4 gears over base for that 1 minute push, and then take it back to the base for that 1 minute base. Joggers and runners, ideally they're gonna start with like a conservative push, so probably about 0.5 to maybe 0.7-ish up to 1 over their base speed at that 2% incline. And this is essentially not only speed change, but also rolling hills as they go up and down with flat road. So they're gonna see 2, 3, 4% inclines uphill with that push speed. So if they do start on that conservative end where they're starting like 0.5 over their base for their push, 0.5 with that speed increase at a 4% incline, should feel very similar to, at least 1 over their base. So for the more conditioned athletes, you might have them start more in that 1 to 2 range. And then for the newer people or people who are taking a little bit easier for that day, maybe 0.5 to 1 over base. It does finish with a 1 minute all out. That is at flat road. Like I said, they'll get a 1 minute walk recovery before we move into block 2. Block 2 is a 3-minute increase in hill. And the goal here for the joggers and runners and power walkers is to maintain their base speed as incline goes up every 30 seconds. Power walkers are gonna start at 5% or greater. Joggers and runners are gonna start at 3%. Every 30 seconds, they go up by 0.5%. So it's a very simple, as they're moving, tap the up arrow and keep pumping those arms. Tap the up arrow, keep pumping those arms. Now for the bikes and striders, they're gonna be a little bit different. They're gonna try to hold a push gear, so 3, 4 gears over base for 2.5 minutes. And then during the all out, that is when they'll go up to 6 gears over base, okay? So joggers and runners, power walkers, they're holding their base for 2.5 minutes as they go uphill. And then for the final 30 seconds, they go up the incline again, but it's a 30-second uphill all out. Knowing that they're gonna be at a 5.5% incline for joggers and runners, they might not hit the same 1 minute all out they did on flat road. It might be a little bit under as far as speed goes, but with that incline, the effort should feel very similar. Power walkers are gonna hit up 10% or greater. Now, after block 2, they do get 90 seconds to recover. Then they go into block 3. Now, block 3, like I said, is an inverse of block 1. So they start at 4% with their push, flat road base, then 3 base, 2 for the push, base, and then 1 minute all out. And the goal here is to maintain or increase their push speeds. So think about what they did in block 1. Can they start with that speed and then hold on to it? If they are fatigued, if they feel strong with those inclines going down, increase the speed. And then the final block, they're gonna start at 5.5% incline. Every 30 seconds they come down. They do finish that last 30-second all out at a 3% incline. Power walkers are going back up to 10% or greater though. So bikes and striders, same idea. They'll hold that push gear for about 2.5 minutes and then kick it up to their all out for the final 30. So that's the treads. A lot of talking from you as a coach, so just be aware of that as you remind them to increase speed, but also incline, and of course, pull back on speed, pull back on incline. Now, on the weight floor and rower side, blocks 1 and 3 incorporate the row. They start with a 400-meter push row, one time and one time only. So for the first group that start on the rowers, this is almost like an extended warm-up, but it is a push effort, push intensity. So knowing that you probably had them stop for a moment to demonstrate the exercises and then get back on the rower, in a perfect world, they're probably gonna get towards like the high green by the end of that 400-meter push. Definitely use stored programs so that way when they do it during block 3, they can match or improve on their time. Now, the work and active recovery on this section for block 1, you're gonna see a dumbbell clean for 5 reps, paired up with the explosive tempo front squat. And then active recovery is a downward dog with alternating calf stretch. I know in yoga it's been called like walk the dog, but it's an opportunity for some shoulder activation, but also hamstring and calf stretching, as well as some hip mobility work. So when you do the dumbbell clean right into that front squat, they're using the legs and the hips to power that weight up for the clean. And then the front squat, once it's there, 1, 2, 3, pause, and then jump, just without letting the feet leave the floor. 5 reps of each, and then they have that downward dog. I would have them try to hold that stretch for 1 to 2 seconds, switch 1 to 2, switch. So that active recovery movement will probably take them about 20 to 40 seconds, depending on how quickly they go through it, which should be enough recovery for them to get back to that clean and do it again. So after that push row, they'll have probably about 5 minutes, so at least 2, maybe 3 rounds of the work and active recovery in block 1. Block 2, this is gonna be timed up with the treads. So every 30 seconds, they're gonna change between 1 of 2 movements. They start off with the body weight alternated step down squat. So they'll start on top of the bench, they'll step off, stabilize, then squat down, come back up, and then step off the other side. The great thing about this movement is it kind of highlights the importance of squatting on an uneven surface. Because in a perfect world, we don't necessarily always squat on level surface. Whether they're squatting down to grab something, maybe they're outside going on a hike and they gotta get down to grab something. So you're gonna have that uneven elevation, and so that's something that's very important for us to kind of work on and practice. And doing it body weight really helps them find the perfect movement for them. And then that's gonna be paired up with the low bench high plank alternating up and down. So they'll be up on the bench, they'll go hands down, come back up, lights up the core. One thing to make sure people are aware of and they are trying to do is make sure that they're stacked. Shoulders are over the wrist, which is over the bench. So that way they're not behind the bench, their torso's over it, and that's gonna load up that core a lot more and the shoulders. And then they can also keep their feet wide to help keep their hips stable and minimize how much they shift left to right. They're gonna do that between those 2 movements. So squat, up, down, squat, up, down, squat, up, downs. That's it. They'll have that 90-second recovery as you get them set up for the 3rd block. They hit that row again, match your beat. Once they're done, wipe it down. And then the new work and active recovery is gonna be the neutral grip push press paired up with the skier swing, and then alternating lateral shift with hands on the floor. So this is one where, obviously wider stance as they shift, their hands touch the floor, come back up other side. Great opportunity for them to really get that inner thigh adductor stretch, as well as kind of get them to move and improve hip mobility and ankle mobility as well. Same idea, they'll probably only get 2, maybe 3 rounds here. Knowing that, be explosive with the push press and the skier swing to really emphasize, power and speed, but maintain good control. The final block, this is a core burnout, and it's 2 movements, of course, for 30 seconds each. And it's gonna be the straight arm sit-up paired up with the knee tuck, both of them on the bench. Now, the main thing with the straight arm sit-up and the knee tuck, the goal here is as much core activation as possible. So the highlight for this is we want members to minimize momentum. So with that straight arm sit-up, as they are laying on the bench, their arms should be straight up and down towards the ceiling. So rather than have the arms back behind them with the bicep by the ear, the arms should be here. And then as they sit up, they push their arms up to the ceiling and imagine like they're gonna try to peel themselves off the bench, rather than they're here, the arms are back, and then they swing the arms and then they sit up into it. Because then it's all momentum, it's not any core work. And if anything, it's more hip flexor work. And then that's gonna be paired up with the knee tuck. And then with the knee tuck, what I've noticed is a lot of people really focus on trying to get bent in as much as possible. So then they'll kind of frog leg and have the knees splayed out. Rather than that, try to imagine ankles and knees glued together and compress as much as possible that way, and then open up, really get that, lean back, mimicking like the hinge in back while you're on the rower, essentially. So if anything, that's a good way to kind of connect the dots for people. It's like, hey, when you're rowing, you're pretty much, your feet are here, your knees are almost together, and you're leaning back when you're here. We should look kind of like that when you're doing the knee tuck, except for your hands are behind you. And they'll do that for 3 rounds, 30 seconds each. There you go. That's the 2G. 3G, we're gonna see 2 blocks on the tread, and then 1 block on the rower, 2 blocks on the weight floor. Now on the treads, block 1 is a 10-minute block. This is essentially like a longer variation of the 2G's hill work with the rolling hills. They're gonna start with a 5% push climb, and then the goal is to increase or maintain push speed, because every push, the incline will go down. So they're gonna see push-based combos at 5, 4, 3, 2. And then after the 2% push, they have a 1-minute base, and then they have a bonus round of a flat road push into a 1-minute all out. They'll get 90 seconds to recover, and then block 2, this is the 4th block from the 2G. So they'll do the decrease in hill for 3 minutes, start at 5.5% incline, work their way back down to a 3%, but that's done as an all out. Now the rower, the goal here is they have 14.5 minutes to complete a 2,000 meter row, but they are gonna only row for 90 seconds at a time. So stored programs, 2,000 meters, launch them with the treads. So when the treadmills are halfway through that first block, rowers rack your handles, and then they have a med ball exercise. It's gonna be an overhead alternating reverse lunge to tricep extension. So elbows are locked out as they stand up tall. They'll do a lunge, tricep extension. They'll do a lunge, tricep extension, lunge, tricep extension. So 5 lunges per leg, 10 extensions total. Once they finish that, they get back on the rower. They're gonna have to look at their clock. They have to time themselves for the next 90 seconds. Knowing that it's a 90-second row, they'll probably get around 400 to 600 meters, depending on how aggressive they are. So it's gonna take them probably about 5-ish rounds. So that's gonna put them right about 7.5 minutes plus to row, plus transition to get on and off. So most people should be able to finish it, or at least get very close. The bonus, they'll just tap new interval and row until the finisher, which is a 30-second all out. And then on the weight floor, it's the combination of the work and rest. So block 1, 10 minutes, they have the clean, front squat, downward dog, and then they go into the next work and rest of the push press, skier swing, and then the lateral shift. Then they go back to the beginning. And then the second block, timed up the treads, 30 seconds each, the core blast. So sit-ups and the knee tucks. There you go. It's gonna get spicy on that one. A lot of core work for the weight floor, especially to finish out with. So if you have anyone who starts on the weight floor and then they go to the treadmills, Abs are going to be lit up, hip flexors are going to be lit up, which is going to make the incline work that much more challenging. So just be aware of that. So if members are wondering why they're struggling on the treadmill, it's probably why. Any feedback, let me know. Otherwise, best of luck. Coach it down.